Hello, sir. Good morning.
Okay, yeah, Monica, good morning. Okay, let's start with our program. Let's start with our class called JDBC. Today we are going to go with the class JDBC. Let me open the notepad. Okay, uh, JDBC, like, just give me a minute. Okay, JDBC. JDBC. The full form of this is Java Database Connectivity. Uh, yes, the full form is Java Database Connectivity. This is an API, means this is an Java API for standard database connectivity. Suppose whenever you are using Java, this is going to connect you with your databases, and this performs many options. Like first you make a connection. The functionality of this is to to make a connection to the database that you are working, maybe MySQL or Oracle or DB2 or MongoDB, anything. Then you can have something called creating SQL or MySQL or any other database statements. Now, first you have created this SQL or MySQL or any other database statements. Now you need to execute the statements made in point 2. And third, you need to view, manipulate, or modify the resulting records, the records that you get as a result. So these are the four functionalities. First, you need to connect to the database. You need to create the database statements, whether it can be any standard database. You need to execute them, and then you need to view, manipulate, or modify the resulting records. So now, when I'm creating, let's go to more technical terms. When I'm creating the JDBC application, you need to import the packages. Packages means that are required for the JDBC uh, classes or database programming. Most often for the SQL or anything, you need to import this particular called import Java. It is most of the time SQL dot this. Now, in the second part, you need to register the database, register the JDBC driver. This is done using this particular thing, that JDBC driver, or means this is regarding the communication between the Java and your database. Sometimes you need to include your jar, means suppose a jar for your something called MySQL. You need to just import the jar, and then you need to do like you need to have a jar for MySQL. The jar for MySQL is something, is called com.mysql.jdbc.driver. This is the jar you have for MySQL. Maybe you can download the SQL or DB2 jar, then you need to register this particular inside that JDBC driver. Now, the third point in the JDBC is you need to open a connection. This is done using the method called driver manager get connection. To create the means to create the connection object, you can say that it does a physical connection between the database and your Java, the application, this particular opening a connection. Then you need to execute the query. You have the select clause, create clause, various SQL statements. You need to create this particular, you need to execute this particular query. Now, here you need to extract data from the result set. After, suppose you have executed the query and you have stored in the result set after executing this. Now you need to extract the data that you need from this particular called result set. Here you need to do something like this: result set dot get, and you can give get. You have lots of things. I will show you. Get statements, get something results. You have suppose number of things, number of methods using this result sort get. You will get number of methods here. So you need to extract the data from the result set. Now you need to close and clean up the connection. Since all the databases resources that you have opened, you need to close using this particular called the close statements or something. And remember, there is a Java's garbage collection automatic. I've told this before, and there automatically it needs to clean up using the JVM's Java collection, and you need to close the particular, when you have opened a connection, you need to close that particular connection. So let's go to a program and check. I cannot execute because I told you that I do not have the uh, any database installed. But you can relate. I'm sure that you can relate this. I'm creating my first example. First example. I'm creating a public static void main. Okay. Suppose for the JDBC driver names, I am doing the JDBC. Suppose I am registering the JDBC driver name. Remember, we are doing with the MySQL driver name and database that you are connecting the database URL. And it's always better if you write, because these are not going to change the JDBC driver or the database URL. So these are not going to change. So I can do currently like final static and also final string. Suppose I'm giving that JDBC slash driver equal to com dot mysql dot jdbc dot driver. This is going to be the driver that I need to have. And remember, you need to have this, means whenever you do, you find this driver from the Google. Here you go. I need to Google, you find it. Whenever you want to execute, you need to download this connector from anywhere. You have this dev.mysql, or you can connect this particular driver, and you need to add this particular inside your project. Go to here, go to the build path. You have to add the particular libraries, like libraries you have it here. You need to add the jar because that is a jar, and you need to add that particular jar over here. And then you need to do this static final JDBC driver equal to com.mysql dot jdbc dot driver. This is the especially the jar that you are taking. Now let me do the, suppose if I need to take the database URL, suppose DB URL means the database that I need to connect that has been there in a particular computer or a server. So I am taking that particular URL like this JDBC dot mysql. Suppose it was in my local host, and we have it something port 8091, maybe in my computer only, or suppose employee. This is the JDBC URL that we can take. It can be anything. It can be the server name, host, port, everything should be there. And then sometimes you have the database credentials, the username and password. Here I am taking the database static final string username. Suppose the username, whatever the username you have, give it here. Give the password here. Whatever password you have, you need to give the password here. And remember, I need to this I have done. Now I need to first create this particular objects like connection. Okay, con equal to null. I told you this is already there in this number of package. So most of the times we need to do this. And then you have the statements for where you will execute this. Suppose I'm giving a statements. Then I'm giving a try catch block. You have a try catch block here. Then first you need to register. Remember, you need to suppose is there registered the JDBC, registered the JDBC driver. So here I am registering the JDBC driver now. Register JDBC driver. That I am doing by using class dot font name and the JDBC driver. Like I could have done directly, I could have written this here, but this is the coding standard one should maintain. I could have directly written it here, class dot font name equal to this. Okay, this I have just registered the JDBC driver over here. Now I need to connect now to the connection and open a database, means to connect, because this step was, remember, opening a connection. To connect, to create the connection object, and see, this is the connection object I'm creating, and you need to the physical connection between the Java and your database is done here. Open a connection. If I'm going to do this, so suppose this I have, this is the connection object that I am creating. It's written here. You need to create the connection object. So I'm creating the connection object here. It was a null using the method called driver manager dot get connection. You need to pass this particular called uh, db url, the username, the one that you have given, and the password. If you do not, if your database does not require any username and password, you can directly give only this particular their get connection and the URL. If it doesn't require any username or the password, if it requires, you need to give in this way. So your connection is made between the database and your Java objects, your Java application. Now the fourth is, you need to do, suppose you need to execute a query. In this case, you need to, this statement object, you need to create this statement object first. So what I am doing, the statement object equal to con dot get connection, sorry, con dot create statement. So this statement is ready to execute my query. And you might have something called your query. You are creating the query like string SQL equal to select. Maybe this is the select clause. Most of you must be knowing the how to use the select clause. Like I'm using select ID name age, maybe from the table name, you can say employee. This is the statement that I have created. If you can go that first, creating the SQL or MySQL database statements, and then and then we need to execute in the result set. Suppose I had written that we need to store this in the result set. So I'm storing this particular inside a result set. So result set rs equal to this statement dot execute. This particular query is there, so execute SQL. This has my result set. This will suppose it will contain something ID, name, and age from the employees, and this is a set. Now, if I need to means retrieve, you need to. The third is extract the data. That means view, manipulate, or modify the resulting records. You can do in this way, like if I can say the extracting the data, you can do in this way. File rs dot next. This means whenever this result set have the values, this while loop is going to just give me the results. So suppose I need to take the ID first. It is the if it was an integer type, suppose rs dot get int, already it's there, and I need to give this particular ID. See this particular ID. Now if I add the name string name equal to rs dot get string, this is name. See, I written something, you had something called get results dot get and this xxx. So it can be int, it can be string, it can be double. So age is also, suppose if I am giving an int age equal to rs dot get int. So what it does, now if I am doing a sysout for everything, sysout id plus name, or you can do anything as you have this age plus age. So suppose if this result set, if this query has 50 number of rows that has been retrieved from this particular table called employee, so this while loop will go 50 times and these statements are going to execute 50 times and you will get 50 type means 50 results here. So this is a sysout dot something. Now here you can, suppose I told you that from here you need to close your statements, or you need to do means clean up the activities. Like let me check in inside the try block which statements I need to close. See, you have it here. This rs I have opened. First close it here. Rs dot close. I've already closed it here. And then in the finally block, I'm writing if con. First, let me close. See, the closing of the statement should be done the way, suppose the first result set has been done. So you need to close this particular at first. Okay. Then if you need to close your particular statements and the connection, first you close. See, you have defined this statement first, means the first statement that has been defined connection, then statement, then your rs. So rs should be closed first, then you need to close this particular called statement. Follow this sequence always. Statement not equal to null, then I'm going to close this particular called statement dot close. It is going to be ask me to do with a try catch block. Okay, see, it has done with a try catch block. Now let me go here, Control X. If this, now you need to close your particular. Okay, now you need to close your that connection. Here also you need to do with a try catch block. Or it's better to do it here itself. Oh, try to write this. So this is one of my JDBC statements. So you have got that how this can be done, how this can be manipulated using these JDBC statements. Now, do you have any questions till now?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. Then we can go to the next classes or the next things that we have already done here. And just give me a time. Okay. So the next class, next things that we are going to do is there are, I've used this statement. Remember, this statement is vulnerable to your, uh, means it can be hacked. Like you have something called database injecting our database. So instead of this doing this particular things, we can have the particular called your prepared statements. Prepare statement, what it does, suppose if I had something called here where something name where age is greater than 50. So if I had written something here or something like this where age is equal to something 50 and id is equal to uh, something called 1 2 3 4. Suppose if I had the statement this way. So instead of writing, you can also write a statement called the prepared statement. So how to do the prepared statement? Instead of this, you can also write something called prepared. Just give me a minute. Somebody I think has knocked the bell. Give me 2 minutes. Uh, Hi, class. Sorry for the delay. So where were we? I think we were doing prepared statements, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So instead of statement, we can write something called prepared statement. Like prepared, if I've written something prepared statement here, something is equal to null. Okay, I've given it here. Now you check how I'm going to do. Suppose I have written it here called this SQL query. Now, what I am doing, instead of writing this connection con dot something here, I need to write this connection dot. You can check I have this prepare statement, this particular called prepare statement. I have this particular called SQL query. Suppose directly I can go here. Suppose if I have it here. Okay, or you can also do, I think you have this. No, this you have. You need to give your SQL query here. I'm going to show you. You have already given the SQL query here. Then you need to, suppose in a prepared statement, here you can give the particular values instead of just defining or just hard coding the value in your statement. You can give it here. So the number one position is age and number two position is ID. So what you can do, you can just write this prepared statement and you can just give dot set. You have this, first you have the age, so I'm going to do set int. Remember the first one of your, it is of age. Remember it start with 1, it's not start with 0. So age will be 1, index 1. So I'm giving the index 1 as the value 50. Second is statement dot get int. Oh, sorry, it's going to be set int. This parameter index is my second position and I gave it as 1 2 3 4. Now you execute this particular statement. So instead of doing a result set here, what you can do, you just give it a name like this, or you can just do it statement. Suppose if I have given a statement called here, something is wrong.
The two times you have written, sir. Statement dot.
Okay. See, now the result set I can directly do it here. This statement rs equal to this statement and execute query. Now I can have the result set. Instead of hard coding, you can just do it here. You can get the result set and everything. So this prepared statement will have something when you will execute this particular SQL query. It will have something where age is equal to 50 and ID is equal to 1 2 3 4. So this is my prepared statement. And also you have something the callable statement. You have the callable also. You can give the callable statement here. Like if I can do instead of this, now I'm writing a callable statement. Check the difference. Instead of just statement, I can do a callable statement stmt equal to null. Now the callable statement. I'm doing something wrong. Okay, the spelling may be wrong. I'm changing it. See the callable statement here. Now you have to do something called prepare con dot something called prepare. I think it is prepare call maybe. Yes, it is a prepare call, and you can also write the callable statement in this way. This is my callable example. I had shown you the prepared, and if you instead of you want to do a callable statement, then you can go do it like this. And remember, this is your assignment maybe. The difference between, you need to know the difference. This is go through it. Difference between statement, prepared statement, and callable statement. If you can't say, I will tell you tomorrow the difference between this. Please go through it, the difference between statement, prepared statement, and callable statement, and when you need to use a prepared statement, when you need to use a callable statement, you need to go through it. Now suppose, let me use the statement itself. Let me use the statements. Suppose you need to do now, you need to, this is done a select query. You need to create the table. Suppose you need to create a table. For that, you need to do something called, uh, you have done it here, the string SQL query. Just remember, you need to change this string SQL query, and you need to create in this way. Suppose I'm writing create something table A B C. Suppose create ABC, and then I'm going to give the columns called ID. This is caps. This I'm going to do it as an integer. The data type is integer, and I'm going to give it as not null. If you know the database statements, then you can easily go through it. That's what I'm doing. Then again, I'm creating this table. Then I'm going to do a called this post, uh, the the name as your varchar 50 maybe. Third one will be my suppose age, again integer. Okay, this is going to be my this, maybe the primary key I need to give. Sorry, here. Maybe I need to give the primary key here. So my primary key will be your this particular ID. My primary key is going to be your ID. Primary key is going to be my this particular ID. So this is my SQL statement of creating a table. So instead of this, I can write directly. See, I have here used it here. I'm going to use this particular statement here. After creating this, better to create. I'm going to create this instead of, I do not need a result set or anything from here. I do not need this particular result set. So what I can do is just, I can give this particular called all this statement, where it is statement, yeah, statement dot execute. You have update, execute, update. You have this. Now, when I'm writing this execute update, so this is going to create my table in the database. So this is going to create a table. Now, if you want to drop a table, you know how to drop it, like drop this particular drop table name, drop table name in the SQL. Then you execute this particular called execute.xml. And if you, I've already shown you a select query. Suppose you need to insert the records. Select query is already I've shown you. Now you need to insert the record. You need to give this. Suppose if I had ABC, then I could ID, name, and age. I had created. Now you need to insert the record. I need to write like this: insert into ABC. Then you have, suppose, the values that I'm giving, 1 2 3 4, comma, the name that I have given. Suppose name, my name, or ABC1 I'm giving, ABC1, and then I'm giving it as your age is 18. So this is one of, and if I'm going to write execute update, then it's going to, this is going to insert into my table called ABC. I can also give this, if I want to a second record to be updated into this, suppose SQL1, okay, SQL1, if I'm giving insert into this, ABC 1 2 3 4 5, ABC2, age is 20, so, or 30 maybe. So again, I'm going to execute this particular statement. So it's better if you want to do, I can do it. SQL equal to, let me update this. Now you have the select query also. You have the select and everything you can do with this particular functionalities. Or you have the select, update, drop. You can just do in this way. So this is going to be my, this was my JDBC class. And do you have any questions? How to connect, send, do a connection and all?
No, sir.
Okay. So there was a question that difference between the statement. Go through it. Okay. Tomorrow I'm going to start with your next level. Means we are going out of core Java now. We will enter, and I will explain you the frameworks, like especially your different types of MVC frameworks, model view frameworks, and how, like something called JSP servlet, which framework it does, or the struts, things, this, which framework it comes in, which container or which framework does this start, springs, how this follows. Just the theoretical part, the MBC and the theoretical part will be done tomorrow. And also I will tell you the difference between the statement, prepared statement and callable statement. Then we will directly start with the MBC and the theoretical part, that what does this MBC means, what does this framework means, and then we will start with your JSP and servlet in the next class. We will to do the basics of JSPs and also struts and springs, the basics of all this. But I will go in intense level of this servlet. Okay. So
Okay.
any questions?
No,
Yes,
sir.
Monica.
I
Okay.
was just
Okay.
taking over.
Yeah. Hello.
No, sir, no doubts.
Okay. Okay. So this is it, and so we can so we will meet in the next class. And you have any questions regarding the core Java, please send me the questions to Kalyani or to me directly. I've already given you. I will just explain you how to do, and you need to do the programmings. Remember, this was just a 1 month of course of the core Java, but the thing is, to learn the Java, you need years of experience. Believe me, there are a lot of things in it. And yes, uh, so bye for today. We will meet tomorrow again at the same time. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Goodbye.